Well, welcome to the Midwest region of the Women's Fast Pitch. Thank you for joining us today. I am Dr. Sylvia Ma, the founder of Stella Labs and your MC for the afternoon or mid-afternoon. So welcome. This is such an exciting time. Every week, I can't wait for Tuesday to come around. I know our team can't wait either to introduce you to all of our judges and all of our wonderful founders and really growing this women's economy. So I want to also introduce to you today, we have Lori Bauer, partner at Cooley. Cooley is our title sponsor for the Women's Fast Pitch. They have been an integral part of our development at Stella Labs and helping female entrepreneurs across the country. But Lori's here today because she's the co-founder of Cooley's Chicago office and the co-head of the Chicago corporate group, right in the midst of where all of these entrepreneurs are who are pitching today. Lori is passionate about partnering with founder teams and emerging companies at all stages of growth and levels of complexity. She believes nothing is more rewarding than playing a role in their long-term success. Thank you, Lori, for being part of our time today.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm really thrilled to be here, and Cooley is so pleased to support the Women's Venture Summit and Fast Pitch competition. I can't wait to see all the presentations coming soon after this. As Sylvia mentioned, Cooley is a global law firm. We have about 1,300 lawyers from across the US and around the world, and focus on representing innovators across all industries. I'm super excited, as Sylvia mentioned, because we just launched our Chicago office a couple of months ago, and really glad to be joining with like-minded lawyers who are looking to work with founders like you who are located in the Midwest and around the country. We're also deeply committed to diversity, both for our employees and for women founders that we support. We recently ranked in Fortune's Best Workplace for Women, and for the 10th year in a row, and we're named as a best law firm for women by Working Mother magazine's parent company. I'm also a mom with 3 elementary school daughters, and so for me, it's just thrilling to be part of this presentation and to see these pitches today. So again, we're so pleased to support the program, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's just a pleasure and honor. And you launched your site, so I'm super excited to see how your in Chicago grows for Cooley and how you're going to support all these entrepreneurs. I can't wait to see your success.
Awesome,
I'm a mother too of a high school daughter who's a STEM advocate, which I love. So we're all doing it for the greater good of families and ecosystems and communities. So very excited to be part of this. I wanted to introduce to you the Women's Fast Pitch, right? What is it? It's a pitch competition nationwide that because of COVID, we were able to really say, stake in the ground, let's get it nationally. We're in our 6th year. It's a virtual competition with 6 regions in 6 weeks. This is our 3rd one, and we have some amazing founders here with us today. And hopefully, if you're on the chat, if you're on YouTube, I want to know if this is your 3rd one, because there's a special deal, a special incentive for you to be here for all 3 of them, and we'll be talking about that at the end. So today, we have our wonderful founders who are pitching, and the winner of the Midwest region will advance to the Women's Venture Summit, which is in September 17 and 18, again, virtual as well. And if they win that competition, they win a $10,000 investment with $30,000 in in-kind services. So it is a great deal for these founders to really get the funding that they deserve and the support that they need. This is all brought to you by the fabulous Stella Labs, which is a business accelerator, not-for-profit business accelerator that has been around for about 8 to 10 years. It is run and led by Raven O'Neill, doing such an amazing job in really increasing the representation and funding opportunities for female founders out there. So please stay tuned until the very end to hear about 3 special announcements on Stella Labs and from our team. Now I want to go into the judges. The judges were picked specifically to be able to give really great concrete feedback to the founders, but also their investor judges. They have been around for a while, or some a long time, and we value every single person who is one of our judges. There are colleagues, there are syndication partners, just fantastic women who are part of our judging panel today. So the first up is Kim Davis-King. Wanted to thank you for being here. She has over 17 years in the venture capital industry. She's a partner at Launch Factory, the co-director of Start R at the UCSD Rady School of Management, and a lecturer at UCSD and SDSU. That's University of California, San Diego, and San Diego State University. She's also an advisor and board member to several early stage and growth companies. Thank you for being here today, Kim. Next up is our judge, Arush Sheikh, and she has been around. She helped us last year with our Women's Fast Pitch. Thank you for coming back. She's a former real estate tech startup founder turned VC. As a keynote speaker, advisor, and author, and she does a lot more than that, she's working towards empowering world-changing ideas and elevating women in the startup ecosystem. She actually recently published the Fundraising Strategy Playbook, an entrepreneur's guide to pitching, raising venture capital, and financing a startup. Thank you, Aruj, for being part of our judging panel today.
Thank you for having me.
Gonna be fun. And our third judge, who also, Cheryl Conti, she also pitch prepped a bunch of our founders and gave of her time to the founders that are part of the Women's Fast Pitch. So thank you right off the bat. Cheryl is the Impact Seed's Chief Innovation Officer and award-winning founder and chair of the mission-driven digital agency Do Big Things. The Impact Seed is also one of our sponsors of the Women's Fast Pitch. So thank you so much as well. Cheryl is also an Amazon bestselling author of Mechanical Bull, How You Can Achieve Startup Success. She's also co-founder of Attentively, the first tech startup with a Black female founder to be acquired by a NASDAQ company. Thank you for being here today, Cheryl.
My pleasure. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. And last but definitely not least is Kristen Fox. She is also a returning judge, and she is a wealth of information and such a bright light in our San Diego ecosystem. She's accredited business valuation specialist. She's director of business development for Vantage Point Advisors and has spent over 20 years in the financial services industry. She's also a Women of SDAC member, which SDAC means San Diego Angel Conference. It's been wonderful to see her, how she has grown as an angel investor. She has expertise in performing valuations of businesses and business interests for a variety of purposes, including financial reporting, transaction advisory, tax restructuring, corporate planning, matters of solvency and fairness, and gift and estate planning. She is your woman. So thank you, Kristen, for being here. So next is allowing the audience to understand what the pitch process is all about. In the next couple of minutes, multiple minutes, we're going to have the founders come in and pitch. So what they have is about 90 seconds to 3-minute pitch. Typically, it's going to be a 3-minute pitch. And then you have Q&A with the 4 judges. And the Q&A is about 5 minutes long. And the judges have actually picked which are the startups that they really, really want to question because they understand the industry, they understand the founders, something about it that they really want to really dive in a little bit further. So that connection is super important. And therefore, the questions are supportive, they're clarifying, or promotion focused. We all want to neutralize bias in this arena, and we really are so supportive of the founders, and the judges know that as well. The judging rubric is the same for round 1. That pick the top 6 finalists. And now the same judging rubric is being used by stage 2 right now, that you are living and breathing the stage 2 of our Women's Fast Pitch, the semifinal round. So without further ado, wanted to introduce you to the Meet the Founders video. Thank you. I always love those videos because the founders look amazing. Their companies we're going to hear from. So with pitch number 1, we have Katie Taylor of Untold Content. And I think she's in the room. Yes, Katie, wonderful. This floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen just fine?
Wonderfully.
Thanks to a story he shared over dinner at a conference about how he founded his startup in honor of his mother, who'd nearly died in her battles with breast cancer. The CEO of Color Genomics convinced the CEO of Levi Strauss to provide genetic testing for all of his employees. One story from a passionate founder with a personal connection to his innovation inspired a major sale for his startup and positively impacted thousands of lives. Brain research shows again and again that stories influence us more than data points and lists of facts alone. Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Taylor. I'm CEO of Untold Content, an expert organizational storytelling firm launching the Innovation Storytelling Platform, a dynamic SaaS solution that transforms a tedious, manual, fragmented process of collecting storied insights into a colorful, engaging experience for sharing the stories that power organizations. The Innovation Storytelling Platform helps organizations accelerate innovation through the power of story, guiding users with engaging story prompts to help them transform talks, chats, rituals, and water cooler conversations into dynamic stories that power learning, insight, and innovation well beyond those singular moments. Here's how it works. Leaders define the types of stories they want to collect, and then users across the enterprise are prompted to craft their stories using our proprietary story patterns, tools, and templates. Those stories are then featured in an AI-powered feed that pulls relevant insights up for unique users and invites them to engage, react, draw connections between innovative ideas and the colleagues who created them. Untold is uniquely positioned to scale this platform. Our team of PhD-level scientific and professional writers have crafted more than 1,000 innovation stories for global organizations, and we've designed our platform based on insights from interviews with 100 global innovation leaders. Innovation management is growing to become a $3.5 billion market by 2027, with 56% of consumers saying that they actively seek to buy from brands they perceive as being innovative. So we know that this subscription-based platform has use cases for marketing, communications, HR, leadership, R&D, and of course, innovation, where we already have a thriving customer base and are planning pilots with organizations you know and love, like NASA, Boeing, IFF, DuPont, and The Honest Company, who want to use this platform to promote innovation among their employees. And we're already set to gross $1 million in annual revenue this year with an existing suite of services and training offerings that complement our tech growth. Help us empower organizations to innovate with a dynamic solution as vivid and powerful as the stories we tell. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much. And the judges that will be doing the Q&A is Kim and Davis King and Kristen Fox. Kim, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful.
Nice presentation. So can you explain a little bit about the 1 million in revenues you're expecting for this year? Is that all SaaS revenue, or do you also do consulting for your customers?
That is primarily consulting revenue. We've bootstrapped the company to date, and we've been able to bring in, a substantial amount of revenue and grow our team thanks to the quality of the services and the trainings that we provide. The SaaS is an additional product to support our existing customer base and to scale our services business.
And what about the pricing of the SaaS product? Can you describe how that works? And for a typical customer, what would they be using? How many seats? What would be the cost?
Yeah, great question. So typically the enterprises that we've communicated this platform with, we know that this will be a subscription-based platform, and the pricing structure I'd be happy to talk about in more of a one-on-one setting, but we are looking to sell this to organizations with at least 5,000 employees or more.
And you mentioned also with the platform AI, how do you utilize artificial intelligence, and are you using someone else's technology, or do you have proprietary AI technology?
So we're working to design our intellectual property strategy. We believe that there are a number of proprietary elements within this platform, namely the story prompts, the design, of the way that users are invited to share text, video, and audio to create stories and the way they're led through that process. The AI feed is another element that we believe will have proprietary elements as well.
And then for our typical client, do you have any that are using SaaS right now, but can you take us through a use case and what was that sales cycle like in terms of selling into the client?
Sure, I'm happy to take you through a use case. So one use case that we've heard among our clients is some organizations, a lot of organizations are valuing failure right now. How do we get our culture to be comfortable with failure and to talk about it more openly? And so some organizations are having dead project days. And those are annual events where a lot of different individuals present lessons learned from projects and innovation efforts that failed. So that's one use case that we're leaning into, is helping them take those momentary rituals and convert them into into essentially a library of resources that are filterable and that can be expand the learning that happens within those singular moments.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation, Katie. Thank you. I'm curious to know, what does the competitive landscape look like, and how do you set yourself apart from the competition?
Great question. So we just conducted a state of the field report on innovation storytelling. And through that research, we discovered that innovators are spending about 12 hours of their work week doing storytelling, yet most of them are following a very manual and tedious process. And there's really no resource out there for best practices around how to do it more effectively, and then how to scale up those stories and spread them throughout the organization. And so, the competitors within this space, really the existing process, we know that this is a practice that's already well integrated into enterprises, but that it's manual and laborious. There are some existing story collection platforms out there with use cases in spaces like nonprofit impact marketing, where they need to collect stories to share, to promote fundraising. And we also know that this is an emergent there are some emergent technologies around consumer insights and how to make focus groups and consumer concept pitches get collected in a more strategic way. So we believe that we can win based on existing tech growth and acquisitions in similar markets.
Great. And what inspired you to found this company?
I'm a recovering professor. I used to teach scientific and technical writing at a Research One university at a tenure track dream job. And as I started consulting in industry, I fell in love with working with highly innovative organizations and knew that I had to make a hard decision. And I left that career in academia to pursue this. And now everyone on the leadership team at Untold has a sort of similar story. And we're just incredibly passionate about taking evidence-based practices and a research-driven approach to storytelling and helping storytelling be something that's a little less touchy-feely and much more impact-driven.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
One more question, actually.
Do you have one more question, Kim? Just
yes.
one.
Just one. You mentioned innovative management as a market was 682 million. Who's the largest player in that market today?
Great question. So are you alluding to maybe potential exit strategies? Yeah, the ones that we would have in mind would be large innovation management firms like McKinsey, Accenture. We know based on our connections there that they still follow pretty laborious processes around collecting consumer and employee insights, even in their own high impact consulting work. So we think that's a potential exit strategy.
Thank you so much, Katie, for all of those answers. You did amazing. Thank you, judges, for the great questions. Well done. And now, as we transition to the next pitch, wanted to let the audience know and remind you that you are on YouTube right now. So like our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's Stella Labs YouTube channel, and also chat it up. I'm seeing all the things down there. I'm doing it on my phone as well as each pitching founder goes. Give them a congratulations, give them a well done, and our team is also giving you great prompts. So chat it up down there in the chat, and would love to see who else is here. And okay, let's see if we have our next pitching founder ready to go. Yes, TheraB, Sam, hello. So the next pitch is Alexa Jones of TheraB Medical.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And your screen sharing is right. It's a little bit of a, can you stop sharing? Yeah, there we go. It's good now. You are ready to go, and the floor is yours.
All right, perfect. Well, hi everyone. My name is Alexa Jones, and I am the founder of TheraB Medical. Jaundice is a condition that affects 60% of all babies, and it can cause irreversible brain damage if it's not treated within the baby's first 2 weeks of life. It's treated with phototherapy, which is when a specific wavelength of blue light is exposed directly to the baby's skin. Though these current phototherapy devices do effectively treat jaundice, they are outdated and they cause separation between mom and baby for up to 7 days when baby's being treated. And also they do lack full skin surface area coverage. So nurses often use 1 or 2 or even 3 devices at one time, which you can see in the slide here. So now nurses are asking for effective and family-centered solutions. We created Snuglet with over 300 nurses, doctors, and parents as a modern treatment for infant jaundice. Snuglet is a portable, wearable swaddle that treats infant jaundice while allowing for continued maternal-infant bonding and breastfeeding. It covers the baby's entire body, eliminating the need for using multiple devices at one time. Snuglet can be wall-powered and battery-operated, so it allows parent and baby to remain together during that crucial first week of life while receiving the high-intensity phototherapy that they need. And we do have a clear 510K regulatory path, and we plan to launch in 2022. Snuglet uses a razor blade model. The light pad itself is reusable between patients, and the swaddle, the fabric swaddle, is a disposable, which allows for a recurring revenue stream. We plan to first launch with select hospital partners and then scale with a hospital distribution partner throughout the US, initially focused on the top 10 states with the highest birth rates. Globally, there's over 84 million babies born every year with jaundice. Our first initial market is the US, where 2.5 million babies have jaundice every year. And then we'll move to India, where over 15 million babies have jaundice every single year. We have a wonderful team with experience in engineering, marketing, clinical research, and med device commercialization. And I'm actually the original inventor of Snuglet, which was my capstone engineering project at Michigan State University. Our advisory board includes professionals with experience both in the US and international markets. And we also work with a product design and manufacturing company called Tecna. Tecna has launched over 300 med devices, including products for Stryker and other neonatal products. And it's for this reason that this joint team really is the perfect team to be launching Snuglet into the market. We're currently raising a $1.3 million seed round through a convertible note. We've closed on about half of it so far, and we're seeking an additional $650,000 by October 1st, and we do have 200 of that already committed. This round will fund our final manufacturing setup, our product testing, and our FDA submission. We're TheraB Medical, and we believe the first moment of your child's life should be in your arms. Thank you.
Wonderful job. I cannot start my video, so I'm going to just do it by audio. Your pitching Q&A is going to be led by Cheryl Conti and Kim Davis-King. So Cheryl, would you like to go first?
Yes, absolutely. I have a number of questions. I'll start with when do you plan to launch? What's your launch schedule like?
So we have a slide that's a timeline, but just overall in general, the rest of this year of 2021 will be spent doing all of our manufacturing setup and validation and our FDA testing. And we plan to launch in 2022, around 1 year from now, approximately. And so by that time, we'll have all of our 510K regulatory requirements completed.
Sure. And who's your sales lead? I know I saw you have a marketing lead, but who's your sales lead?
So Lynn is on our team. So she has commercialization and sales experience. So she'll be leading that, but we also will be hiring, I would say, 2 on the ground, boots on the ground salespeople. We just don't have them on our team yet, since we are focused for the next year on just getting to market.
Sure. And do you have on your team either advisors or management, someone who has manufacturing experience?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to the Tecna slide, Sam, so Tecna is part of our close weekly team. I mean, they're the ones that are doing all of the FDA documentation, and they will be doing our manufacturing for us. So that's what they do for a living, is manufacturing. But also, on the TheraB team, we also do have at least one person that has prior experience. So Lynn does have prior experience with manufacturing FDA regulated products.
That's great. What about financial data? There wasn't much in your deck about that. What's your revenue projections?
Okay, can you see the slide? Oh, there it is. Something just changed. Oh, there we go. So we plan to launch what we're calling a limited launch in 2022. And that's really just a handful of hospitals that we've worked with through development. And that's, through a few initial pilots and a handful of other hospitals. And really our full launch is in our second year in 2023. And then we do add a hospital distributor or a strategic partner between 2024 and 2025. And that's where you see kind of that big jump in sales. That's assuming that we'll have a distribution partner at that time. And this market does take into account the US hospital market, which is around 5,000 hospitals. Also the India market, which we do have a strategic partner in India already. So that'll start in 2023. And it does have a limited amount of rest of world sales, but mostly US and India focused.
Thank you. Turn it over to Kim.
Thank you. As a follow-on of the financial question, what are the cost of goods sold for the product?
You mean the actual per unit?
Mm-hmm. Per unit cost.
So we're still finalizing the exact amount right now, since we're finalizing our manufacturing setup. But the cost of the swaddle, we're selling it for around $10 a piece, and the cost of goods is around $1 for the swaddle itself. And for the light insert with the actual treatment mechanism, we're selling for around $3,500, and the cost of goods is around $700.
So would this be a product that would actually go home with the baby for a certain amount of time?
So it's never going to be a consumer product that you would just go and get at CVS or something, but it could, it could be used in a home care environment. And the customer still would either be, our customer either would be the hospital or the home care provider. And the reason that we're starting with hospitals is because pretty much every home care company we've talked to says, well, does the hospital in the town we're in use it? So they really look to, seeing that it's being used in hospitals first. But there's definitely a large potential for this for home care. We're just starting with hospitals, at least for the first year or so, just to get that initial real world data of the device.
Is there any intellectual property, or have you filed a patent?
Yeah, our first patent was issued last year in 2020. So that was exciting. And then we're also working on an additional patent for some new designs that we've created in 2021.
And can the technology be used for anything else besides jaundice for the infant?
No, so the actual technology that treats jaundice is the specific output and wavelength of blue light. I mean, of course, light therapy is used for other things like, rosacea or other skin disorders, psoriasis, but this particular output and wavelength is specific for neonatal jaundice. And so we're not really looking at any other light therapy applications right now. I think if anything, we would look at other neonatal products since it's the same customer base, same market.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions from Kim or Cheryl?
One last question. What's your exit strategy look like?
So we hope to have some sort of acquisition or exit with a strategic. We've actually already had interest from 2 companies, so that's been exciting. But our goal is to have this is a one product company right now, so we hope that we can in some way be distributed or acquired by a company that is either already in the jaundice space or just in the neonatal space and looking for a jaundice care product.
Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Wonderful job. Great. Answering your rapid fire, Alexa. Well done. I love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you.
As we transition to our next pitch, wanted to shout out again our Women's Fast Pitch sponsors, and that's Cooley, Next Wave, Impact Foundation, and of course, Cheryl's company, the Impact Seat. So thank you so much for the sponsors. We cannot do what we do and be able to be in every corner of the United States without our wonderful sponsors that give so generously of their time, treasure, and talent. So thank you so much. And our third pitch, want to make sure she's on. Oh yes, there you are, Joanne. That's wonderful. So our next wonderful pitching founder is Joanne Rodriguez of Mycocycle. The floor is yours. I just want to make sure I see your slides and I see you, so go ahead.
Thanks, Sylvia. Have you ever imagined a world without waste? The $1 trillion waste management industry is an oxymoron where the waste is not really managed at all. It's buried or burned. And landfills all around the world are overflowing, causing human and environmental health concerns. All of this is driving more stringent regulation around waste disposal as a result. I'm Joanne Rodriguez, the founder and CEO of Mycocycle, where we take trash and make treasure. We imagine a world without waste, and we're using the latest ally in the global plant-based movement, fungi, to help us. I know, mushrooms and everything from fuels to plastic, plant-based technologies are now replacing oil in some of the dirtiest sectors of the world. And while those approaches are bringing new materials to market, at Mycocycle, we're focused on a different and even larger opportunity, using our mushroom-based technology to clean up some of the world's largest messes and help those manufacturers along the way. For decades, I worked in an industry that created the materials that went into landfills, and I know firsthand the issue we face. Fungi are Earth's natural decomposers. They've been cleaning the Earth for centuries without our help. But I started collaborating with leading mycologists to develop a patent pending process that not only allows manufacturers to clean up waste, but also waste managers and governments. And we remove toxins from those materials in just 4 weeks. In our new recycling economy, fungi are poised to have a huge impact, and our vision is twofold. In phase 1, where we are right now, we're focused on using fungi to remediate what has become the global environmental problem of overfilling landfills. By training mushrooms to absorb toxins from petrochemical containing materials, we're using the science of mycology to create a more sustainable materials management path moving forward. So in our second phase, phase 2, we vision a truly virtuous cycle where the mushrooms we use to clean up the messes can also create new materials that can be made into everything from packaging to clothing to building materials, replacing oil and petrochemical products along the way. Since starting, we've won multiple awards, recognition from Fast Company and Forbes. We are working with some of the world's largest manufacturers in the segments they serve to help create more circular opportunities. And we've raised just about $800,000 in dilutive and non-dilutive investments to date. Our team is vast and experienced, decades of experience across all facets of industry. And our advisory board is comprised of all the sectors of the markets that we serve. So would you imagine with us if we could treat every ton of trash with mushrooms and create a more circular opportunity long-term? We have an open round of funding that I would be happy to discuss offline. We're also interested in bringing in additional leadership to our team, and you can just email me directly here. I'm open for your questions now.
Well done, Joanne. Love it about the power of fungi. So the question and answer will be led by Cheryl Conti and Arush.
I'll go first, if that's okay with Aruj. What kind of leadership are you recruiting?
Well, I've been a solopreneur to now. I'd love to have somebody who wanted to come into partnership potentially and have better expertise maybe in the mobilization of manufacturing or within the waste management sector. I come from the materials side and the environmental and sustainability side. So it'd be great to be matched with this. We're also looking for an embedded operations and finance leader. We have some of that leadership now, but I think we've gotten to the point in the next phase of our program, if you will, that we need somebody that's here really kind of organizing all the parts.
Fractional CFOs, look into it. Way cheaper, all of the benefits. So you say that you can treat waste in 4 weeks. How many toxins or how much toxins can be removed from how much waste in that time?
Quite a bit. In our initial test results, we were tackling the phthalate streams, which are plasticizers and their red list chemicals, as well as the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, so PAH. Those are the benzopyrenes, and there are a lot of nasty actors in there. We were able to reduce both of those streams of carcinogens by 85% or better.
Great. And do you have a strategy for scaling?
We do. Right now, we've been working in co-development with manufacturers, so we're kind of following their lead. We have multiple business opportunities. Dr. Michael Eckert with MIT and Harvard was the first to say, wow, you have like several pathways to entry here. So we're trying to stay focused with the manufacturers right now to work on specific strategies interdivisionally, creating symbiosis between different divisions that might deal with different outputs and inputs to create a circular value stream for them.
Got it. Does the product only treat petrochemicals to date?
No, actually, we were part of a grant team through the Remade Institute to the Department of Energy, treating polypropylene face masks as well as latex gloves in light of the pandemic. And so why wait for the grant? We have a lab space now because of this funding. We took it up and had great results within the first 2 weeks. We weren't even sure if we could grow, and the fungi really liked it. So we also treat SBR chrome rubber, which is a huge liability in European markets. It can't be disposed of. It has to be incinerated. And they're even seeing stronger regulations around that as well.
Got it. Financials. Do you have some financial projections that you can share?
We're hopeful to treat about 1.5 million tons in the next 5 years. We could start to run the math just on the per ton treatment of inoculate, which is one value stream, one revenue stream. If we treated a ton of waste for $75 a ton and we're able to get to that $1.5 million or 1.5 million tons per year, we're doing pretty well.
And what's your exit strategy?
Well, you saw a few names up there. I think once we start to really disrupt this marketplace, which we're starting to scratch on the door of some of the contract holders, like a Waste Management, a Republic, a Clean Harbors, we see opportunity with them, also with firms like Burns and McDonald, others that are working in the environmental remediation space, because this is just relegated to landfill and incinerated waste. We could also start to decentralize contaminated soil and other environmental concerns that might have been only handled during certain times of year because of climatic conditions.
I'll turn it over to Arush. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. That was a fantastic pitch. Can you go ahead and summarize some of the cost savings for your customers associated with this product?
Yeah, let's take a use case for landfills, for instance. Wake County, North Carolina has a good report out. They released it in 2020 about the value of airspace and their need to expand how much airspace they have left. Right now, U.S. landfills are at 85% capacity. It will cost them money each year they can't take waste in. And so they determine the value of 1 year of airspace is worth $6 to $7 million for them. So if they could just divert 5% of their waste stream, that's worth $12 to $14 million over 2 years for them. Not to mention the long-term value of putting off the maintenance of a closed landfill, because under regulation, you're required to maintain it for a certain period of time. So there's that, plus they can create an end use out of the material to resell it into new marketplaces. And I sit on the end use committee for Construction and Demolition Recycling Association. This is a huge issue for them about these growing waste streams that are facing regulation and can't be landfilled. So now they're facing some obsolescence and disruption in their business model. Creating an end use market for them is of value too.
Are you exclusively looking at using this as a means for incoming trash and waste, or are you potentially going to consider using this as a solution for existing waste as well?
Yes, I'm working with a landfill operator in the Southeast who has a permit to landfill, or to mine his landfill. So he's actually looking at the opportunity to go in and start pulling the contents out, treating them right on site, and then creating new value from that right on site. So there is the opportunity to landfill mine. We see potentially in markets where there isn't established infrastructure around waste management to offer decentralized waste management solutions as a result of our technology.
Fantastic. And I have one more question if we have time. Just want to get a quick time check. Are we good for one more?
Yes, we are. Go ahead. One more.
Fantastic. What sort of long-term impact do you hope to achieve with this product, and what sort of scale do you think that you can achieve in the next 4 to 5 years?
I think the impact is enormous. We didn't talk about the climate impact of waste management. Activities related to landfill and incineration release 30 times more harmful methane gases than CO2 release. And so even getting into the environmental side of things, we could start to see an immediate impact by diverting waste streams from waste activities like this. For every ton that we could take out of landfill, that means that we could offset almost 3 metric tons of CO2e. And so as we start to talk on scale, we really start to look at that footprint of waste management that's out there already and operating in their client sets, and look at them as key partners for us to mobilize so we can rapidly scale over the next 4 to 5 years. Like I said, we're really aiming for about 1.5 million tons of treatment in the next 5 years, and I think we can get there. There's a lot of mycologists around the world, and there are a lot of people in microbiology coming up with new ways, not just in solid state practice, but in liquid fermentation practices, which really streamline this for us as we scale.
Thank you. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges, so much. And thank you, Joanne, for a wonderful answering of all of those wonderful questions. You did a fantastic job. So as we transition to the next pitch, wanted to let everybody know in the audience, please, please, please follow us on social media. We have We Are WVS, also StellaLabs.org, and Stella Angels. So on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So connect with us. We're here to be a resource for you and to learn even more about the pitch competitions coming up. We're always posting something, so repost our stuff would just be amazing. And then we're all trying to grow this ecosystem. So help us help you to support more founders and funders out there. So with our, oh, good, Rocio's here, wonderful. So our next pitch, which is pitch number 4, is Rocio Lane of Cleancio. Wonderful. I see your screen and you're good to go.
Welcome to Cleancio. We are a vacation rental cleaning and scheduling software company. Do you know that there are over 4 million hosts in the US? These hosts rent their properties on Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, and other sites. And the one thing that they have in common is that they have to ensure their properties are clean and ready for their upcoming guest. This sounds easy, right? Managing cleanings can be very time-consuming and very frustrating at times. And for that reason, I created Cleancio. Cleancio brings the scheduling software and the cleaning services all in one place. That's the Cleancio way. But what it really makes Cleancio different is that we are changing the industry from the inside out by empowering the cleaning professionals and changing the way that they are hired, trained, and promoted. This has a tremendous impact on the guest experience. We also have developed our own technology, so our clients have the ability to really automate their housekeeping operations, and our housekeepers can finish all their assignments seamlessly. As you see, the market is very large, and we are already operating in Chicago, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and South Beach. We are charging an average of $85 per cleaning, plus between $1 and $3 per cleaning for the software. Cleancio was born in 2016 with only 2 properties, and in less than 1 year, we grew over 100 properties, and we have grown an average of 200% year over year, and we are planning to open 5 more markets in the next 2 years. I am the CEO and founder of Cleancio. My name is Rocio Lane, and I was born and raised in Bolivia. And I bring over 12 years of experience in the vacation rental industry and the travel industry. And I was able to bring this amazing team that helped me to build what Cleancio is today. Lastly, we're looking for advisors, for mentors and partners, and anyone that wants to support our mission. You can find us on social media and on our website at cleancio.com. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job. I was trying to find my unmute button. You know, you lose it whenever you really need it, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
So your question and answer will be led by Kim Davis-King and Kristen Fox. You want to start, Kim?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So you mentioned the price of the $85 per cleaning and then the software costs. I would assume you're having an on-demand workforce, but what the actual cleaners who are doing it, what is their cost in order to do that? And how much are you making in terms of the gross margin?
That's a great question, and thank you so much for asking that. Yes, when we onboard our clients and our properties and our portfolio, every reservation becomes a cleaning on our end. And our solution not only allows hosts to ensure all their properties and all their reservations are clean, but also allows housekeepers to constantly have work and not only have to depend on the seasonality. So our housekeepers are paid very reasonably, and our margins are very competitive, and we're trying to keep our costs very low so we can provide a very affordable prices for our clients.
And what is your customer acquisition cost to get a new customer?
It's $100, and we are always trying to lower it down.
And how have you found to be the best channels? Have you done any partnerships?
We have worked in a few partnerships. We're very strong on our SEO right now, and we were featured in multiple vacation rental influencer sites, and we are always trying to participate in conferences that are very vacation rental oriented.
And do you find your customers are signing up for it on a monthly basis, yearly basis? Can you tell us a little bit more about that customer relationship?
Oh, yes, we have multiple clients that they've been with us since we started the company, since 2016. We are still working with them. And a lot of these clients are opening in other cities and we grow with them. And once we onboard that client, we make sure that all the reservations, they are taken care of by our housekeeping team. And a lot of these clients, they still are in our portfolio and they work with us since the beginning.
Is there any integration so they don't have to put in that information twice in terms of like the reservations and when you would come in to clean, or is that something that they're going to have to repeat on your system?
That's another great question. Thank you so much. Yeah, so and that's when we brought the technology to help us automate all of that. So once you bring your properties into our portfolio, you can sync all your reservations into our scheduling software, and then you don't have to enter that information ever again, or even talk to a housekeeper ever again, because our software exports all of those reservations, makes them cleanings, and our team assigns those cleanings to our own employees, and we make sure that the housekeeper does a good job, shows up on time, and make sure that the cleaning is completed before the guest arrives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job on your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, given that you founded the company in 2016, how has the pandemic, how has it impacted your business model? And how have you pivoted throughout in order to navigate it?
Great question. Yes, the pandemic hit our industry really, really hard. And it was sad to see a few of our clients going out of business, but we didn't stop at all. One of the things that we needed to do very quickly is improve our training procedures to ensure our team would stay safe. And we still go and complete assignments. And making sure that everyone is safe and the property is properly disinfected following the CDC standards. After the pandemic, a lot of our clients, and including other people that were planning to have vacation rentals, are starting to activate their properties, and that brought even more work for us. And another thing that we did is we start opening other cities and bring our services to other markets so we can help us to grow and continue growing our portfolio size. Mm-hmm.
Great. So I'm curious on your social media. Do you have a marketing strategy you're employing via social media?
Yes, we have our social media marketing specialist. She's always on social media. We're trying to be very active on social media. We are not only posting cleaning tips. We always are trying to post very diverse content for our hosts and including information for guests, because sometimes the guests don't know what it looks like to be behind the scenes. So we're trying to post a lot of information about that and trying to share information about our clients. And we are very active on social media. And our specialist does an incredible job, and probably she's already posting things online right now.
Great, thank you. Do I have enough time for one more question? Or
Yes, go ahead.
okay. And I just would like to know what inspired you to start the company.
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, I used to host properties. My husband and a few friends have a few properties on their own, and I have a full-time job, and I started taking over the housekeeping side of that. And I realized that it was taking more and more time, and there were a lot of gaps and things that they had to be done in a better way. And once I saw the potential, I decided to open and really truly solve my own problem. And I learned that there is not only a lot of hosts looking for a solution, but there is a lot of things that needed to be changed in the vacation rental industry and the cleaning side, especially. A lot of housekeepers didn't receive the proper training, or they were not hired in the proper way, they were not promoted, or they didn't receive a bonus or the recognition for their hard work. So that really truly made me decide to quit my job and put 100% of my energy to grow Cleancio and focus on the the employees first, then on the guests, and then on the clients.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful job. Thank you, Rocio, so much for your pitch, and thank you for all the wonderful questions, and the answers were fantastic. Thank you so much. As we transition to the next and final pitch of the evening afternoon, is that we wanted to just do a little reminder to the audience again. You have a theme here, right? After each pitch, I have a reminder to the audience, but it's great. Thank you to Rocket Judge. Rocket Judge is what the platform that our judges are using to actually judge the pitches today. It is a flexible judging platform that lets you make your competitions more exciting, dynamic, and stress-free. It is very stress-free, really easy. Simply add judges, competitors, and rubric, and watch the scores roll in. You can try it as a free demo at rocketjudge.com. And thank you, Rocket Judge, for being also a sponsor of the Women's Fast Pitch this year. So we loved it so much last year. We had great conversations with them, and then they came in as a sponsor. So great business development pipeline there. So because of our team is really a fantastic and efficient team of getting sponsorships in, and also being able to support the founders that we have here tonight. So let me see if Teri is here. Wonderful, Teri is here. So our final pitch of the afternoon is Teri Anderson-Sirset of DASI Simulations. You have the floor.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly well.
Excellent. Can you see me?
I can see you, and then we just need to have you share your screen.
Nope, that is true. Sorry.
Wonderful, I see it. Perfect, I see the pitch and present, and you're ready to go.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna move you out of the way here. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Teri Sirset. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DASI Simulations. We established DASI Simulations in December of 2019. In the year 2006, my dad died of complications from heart valve surgery. And I know that if the DASI technology were available at that time, that he probably would still be alive. And I'm here today to share this with you. Using AI and machine learning, DASI has committed to lifelong planning and complication reductions for patients with heart valve disease. What is heart valve disease? It's when one or more of the 4 valves within your heart don't work correctly. Over 11 million people have heart valve disease, yet a good majority of people don't even know what it is. They've never heard of it. 25,000 people this year alone will die, costing the US healthcare system over $23 billion in costs. This is a very fast-growing market, and with the innovations in new surgery and valves, it's imperative to pre-plan surgeries. So herein lies the problem. Current surgical planning uses 2D images, surgeon experience, and yes, a little bit of luck to make critical decisions on complex surgeries, not taking into account patient-specific anatomy. It's subjective, it's manual, and it's time-consuming. This can lead to complications as serious as death. 1 in 4 patients go into surgery perfectly fine and come out with a permanent pacemaker. DASI Simulations has the solution to this problem. Using AI, we're able to predict outcomes ahead of time by using cloud-based computing. What you're seeing here in the black and white picture are the last few heartbeats of a patient before the aortic root actually ruptures. What you're seeing here in the red is a DASI simulation that could have prevented and predicted that. Over here, if you see my cursor, you'll see that this little yellow puncture is what actually punctured the aorta. Perhaps if the physician would have used the DASI simulations ahead of time, we probably would have been able to predict this and this patient would still be alive. This is our medical advisory board, also our current customers from Baylor, Piedmont Healthcare, and Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. Currently, they've done over 200 procedures with 0 complications. The simulation market for DASI simulations and structural heart simulations is $4.2 billion. DASI hopes to obtain 8 to 10% by year 2025 as we're a greenfield advantage. DASI is considered software as a service. highly scalable with a clear path to profitability. We have healthy revenue, 65 million by year 5, with a beautiful margin of 93% and break even at 18 months. With the decrease in radiology amount of time it takes per patient, there will be more throughput, increased case volume, and an additional number of complicated cases that they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Also, in a competitive hospital market, hospitals are able to use DASI as a tool for marketing. We have a clear commercialization path with early adopters, these very, very world-renowned key opinion leaders as our MAB, spreading by word of mouth and trade shows with a very defined FDA pathway, performing clinical market studies, increasing hospital adoption by payers, and eventually strategic relationships with industry partners, valve manufacturers, and imaging companies, developing our own CPT codes for CMS reimbursement, and eventually DASI becoming the new standard of care available for all patient insurance. We do have competition. The biggest competition is status quo, changing how things are done right now. And FIOPS here on the second spot is a competitor that's out of Belgium doing something quite similar to what we are doing, though not as scalable to the best of our knowledge. And because we have a greenfield advantage, it's very important for us to move quickly and get into the market as soon as possible. Our ask is $670,000 to close our $1.1 million seed round. We've currently raised $430,000 on a 2-year convertible note, and we've been lucky to receive $260,000 in non-dilutive grants. Most of this money will go towards headcount, regulatory, and protecting our business. We have over 100 years in management experience, with Dr. DASI, my co-founder, having 15 plus years experience in the heart valve industry. We have C-suite hospital executive, and we also have incredible senior advisors that have been very successful in startups and exits. The future ahead for DASI is incredible. The mitral market is 4 times the size of the TheraB market. We eventually plan to be in all structural heart and possibly neurovascular and endovascular. Thank you.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much. It's hard to talk scientific things in a short amount of time, and 3 people did it today, so well done. The question and answer will be led by Cheryl, Conti, and Aruj.
I have just a few questions, and then I'll toss it over to you, Aruj. What's the, well, first off, it was a really powerful presentation. And I thought my own father was a victim, and this might have been technology that saved his life. So thank you for creating it. You know, what's the genesis of the name DASI Simulation?
If you were to ask my partner, he probably would roll his eyes. He's the most humble person that you'll ever meet. His last name is DASI. But in order to be able to utilize the name DASI, he had to have an acronym, which it's Direct Analytical Intervention something. I can't even remember because I thought it was so funny.
Got it. Okay. And it was a little unclear to me, you know, because I'm not a scientist like yourself, you know, is this software as a service, you know, or is this a medical device, or is it both?
It's actually considered software as a service. And it's classified as a non-medical device under the 21st Century Cures Act with the FDA because it doesn't go into the patient body. And so it's used as a tool or mechanism for physicians to be able to have additional information to use their own judgment. Still, we don't take the judgment away from the physicians to make better choices because they have additional information.
Got it. And lastly, can you tell me a little bit more about your marketing strategy?
Yeah, so in this industry right now, we're very fortunate to have, I didn't do justice enough to our MAB. They are world-renowned key opinion leaders. And what we're finding is that simply by word of mouth, we have potential customers that are lining up to utilize the service. And so we know that we will be utilizing our MAB with their strong connections in the structural heart market, as well as trade shows. We do intend to go to a very large trade show in September in Orlando. It's a cardiovascular trade show. But what's happening right now and what's interesting is that as we are talking to physicians, we are finding that the light bulb will go off about halfway through the conversation, where they will have had a bad outcome, and they'll ask us to go back and retrospectively simulate the patient, just like you saw in my presentation, to see if we would have been able to catch the complication. And thus far, every one that they've given us, and it's been Canada, Australia, across the United States, we would have been able to predict those complications and potentially save those patient lives.
Amazing. I'll turn it over to Aruj. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
First, this is fantastic technology. Also, my grandmother did pass away from a similar complication. So who knows if this was, available then, that could have been helpful. And my first question is, how widely adopted is this technology, sort of using AI for heart surgery currently? And what do you anticipate this sort of adoption cycle will look like in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so that's a good, interesting question. AI is obviously a hot topic right now. I feel like our business is changing almost every single week. We're realizing additional verticals that we will be able to go into. So I think to give you a little bit of understanding of the procedure, a patient will come in, they'll have a CAT scan. From that CAT scan, somebody will take measurements. Whether they use the status quo or physicians take 2 hours to actually measure. From then, it will go into the simulation. So I see sort of a two-part rollout for the DASI technology, one being the measurement piece, which would be replacing something that's already out there. And I see that moving very quickly. And then also on top of that, the next level would be to create this addiction to the technology, if you will, and roll out the simulation piece. So it will take us a little while to get into the market. We have been fortunate and are benefiting from the 21st Century Cures Act, but we know that to increase our indications for use, we will file for a 510K, and that will be filed in October. So we should have our first 510K approval by April of 2022, which then I think the world will become our oyster, because from that, we will use our own predicate device, apply again for additional indications for use. And at that point, we're hoping that there won't be selective use for these types of simulations. How I see it happening right now, I know this is a long-winded question, is that doctors that I've told you, like I told you about before, that have had complications will come to us and they'll see the value for what's considered high-risk patients. And about 20% of the population will be considered high risk. And as a secondary level of safety and security, they'll start to use us on a per click or per seat for those particular patients. But eventually they will find that every patient deserves to have this type of procedure done for them, because you cannot tell what type of anatomy you're going to find until you're actually in the case. And this circumvents that, so there's no surprises in the OR. So that was a long-winded question. Long-winded answer. Did I answer your question?
Yes, that was fantastic. I have one more question for you. Do you have an estimate for how much this sort of the cost savings associated with this product for hospitals? I know you mentioned that it would also reduce the number of hours worked, whatnot, and that sort of thing. So I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we see cost savings in two fronts. One would be the decreased number of hours that physicians are actually taking to do the measurements. We've heard that it can take up to 2 hours times the amount that a physician is paid actually. So they'll realize a cost savings there. There's also a shortage in radiologists. So it's really going to save the hospitals a lot of anxiety and time and energy. And then on the back end of it, as we work with our early adopters, one of the clinical marketing studies that we intend to do is to identify the cost savings and the cost benefit analysis by taking a look at what they've previously done. And when they move over to the DASI technology, comparing that against the complications that they're seeing utilizing or not seeing, I'm hoping utilizing the DASI technology to see the type of difference between the two. So to answer a little bit more specifically, right now we're on a per click, but we don't want procedure rationing. We want to have this technology available to every patient. So as we move forward and the technology becomes utilized in hospitals, we're going to see a little bit of variance because there are some hospitals that only do 50 or 100 procedures. There's hospitals that will do 700 procedures. The hospitals that do 700 procedures, their operators are very experienced. They're probably going to have lower complication rates, but in a higher number because they're still doing more, as opposed to the lower volume surgery centers where the operators are a little bit more inexperienced and the complication rates are higher. So it's something that we're going to aggressively look at to really identify, the cost savings. But right now, as we look out and we know there's an attributable cost per patient of $8,000. We know if we spread that amongst all the patients that are out there, we can get a good idea of what the cost savings per facility would be.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for all of your answers. Wonderful questions too. I know it's hard to ask questions that are, promotion focused and scientific and all of those things. So thank you so much. And this concludes all of our pitching founders. Well done, everybody who went. We had so much chatting it up to let them know that they did such a great job. So now it's time for the judges to go into deliberation. Judges, just as a reminder, please bring on your videos because if you go into the breakout room, then you can't ever turn on your videos in the breakout room. So while you're doing that, I wanted to let everybody in the audience know that now is also a time to vote for audience choice. So now it's your turn, audience, to really say, I really loved this founder, vote it up. And so in the chat below, you will see the voting link, or visit slido.com and enter code 54672. I know it's hard to remember that, but it's in the chat below. We have our team really making sure that you are set up for success of voting for your favorite founder, your favorite startup. They were all amazing. Super excited about all of them, but I know that there's, favorites out there of the market was awesome. The founder was amazing. Their traction was great. So vote it up. And while I say adieu for just a little bit to go into the breakout room to deliberate with the judges. And I leave you with an amazing speaker, Lori Bauer. You were introduced to her at the very beginning of our time together, and she's a partner at Cooley. So she is going to be our guest speaker while we deliberate in the judges room. So thank you, Lori, for always being so available, and the floor is yours.
Awesome, thank you. I will share my screen. Here we go. Can you see my pitch deck or my deck?
Yes, it looks great. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So I have 10 minutes or so and wanted to discuss some financing trends and terms. At the beginning, we'll go over just what we are seeing in the marketplace at Cooley, given the volume of deals that we do. And then just to go over some basic terms that we have found in the past can be overlooked or misunderstood when trying to negotiate terms in your term sheets, which oftentimes happens before the lawyers get involved. So we like to take the opportunity to just discuss some of those terms. So at the outset, I just wanted to put up here an image of Cooley Go, which is our micro site. This is for entrepreneurs, but we found that people reach out to us, law students, entrepreneurs, investors. There's tons of great content on here, including some of the statistics that I'll share with you in the next slides. But it includes information, some form documents. These are actually our core documents that we use. We found that making them available to the public for everyone to see and adding insights will hopefully add efficiency and help in the marketplace in whatever way we lawyers can. So I would encourage you to check this out because most of the things that I'll talk about are also available here if you want to go look at them. Just a couple of quick statistics in terms of deal volume. We publish a quarterly venture financing report and an interactive reporting tool on Cooley Go, so you can also pull this up here. But in the first quarter of 2021, Cooley handled 339 disclosable deals. As a number of deals overall, this is relatively consistent with our prior quarter, but showing an increase to more than 18.8 billion of invested capital, which is a record for this report, which we have been publishing for 15 years now. So one takeaway there is that valuations continue to be good. Investors continue to be, the market seems to be open for new investments kind of at all stages. I guess that's the next one here. We can show just where median pre-money valuations sit. So you can see that, and we've categorized it by the various series here. I think one of the things that we can note here is that median pre-money valuations, they've increased across substantially all of the deal stages, with seed stage transactions seeing relatively flat valuations compared to the prior quarter. So it does seem that now is still a good time to go out to the market and raise. I'm going to move to some terms now, which is where the lawyers generally get more involved. And I think we are still overall seeing that this is a good time for founders and that are able to still get favorable terms. So I'll just run through a couple of things here. Some of this you all may be familiar with, so bear with me. But these are some of the common equity financing terms that we talk about in Series A, Series C deals. They include the all-important valuation, and we'll talk a little bit about how there are sometimes misunderstandings between pre-money and post-money, and how do you link the two. So happy to give you my perspective on that. We also can talk briefly, if we have time, about some of the other key issues that come up when negotiating term sheets. They include your board of directors, makeup, liquidation preference, and what do we mean when we say that? How do we think about your option pool size? How does that play into valuation and price? Important factors for founders, which includes vesting or potentially revesting on your stock. Just another mention here for Cooley Go, our documents that we use for our clients as a starting point for Series C financings are publicly available on CooleyGo.com. So to the extent you're interested, you can find them there. So I'll start with pre-money valuation versus post-money valuation. And again, when people receive, or entrepreneurs receive term sheets, there's usually a focus on, well, what valuation did we get? And so one of the things in particular for first-time founders that we encourage is to slow down and look at the factors that have gone in to the valuation number that's top line in the term sheet, and make sure you understand kind of what that reflects. And ultimately, it's just a way of calculating what percent of the company the investor is going to own, that you as the founder are going to own, and that if you already have other investors, what percent of the company they're going to own. So there's a bunch of different things that should be considered. But generally, pre-money valuation can be used to calculate what the price per share is. And so the way you calculate it is just, pre-money valuation is that valuation divided by the number of shares outstanding prior to the financing. So that usually includes your fully diluted is another term that you'll see, which usually includes your shares. So if you're the sole owner, your founder's stock, 100 shares, the denominator would be 100. If you have any preferred stock or warrants or things like that outstanding, those would be added, even if they're not actually shares yet, if we're talking about fully diluted number. The other thing that goes into it is both options that you may have awarded to your employees or advisors or board, as well as your unallocated pool. And so the pool is the thing that sometimes catches people, because investors will want you to increase the number of shares in your pool to ensure that post-financing, there's enough room for you to issue shares to whoever you think you need to hire, until you get to the next time you have to price the company. So it's really important to understand what goes into the denominator, because again, that's what you're dividing the pre-money valuation by, which then goes to what percent of the company you're going to own after the closing. The other thing, and it looked like several of our presenters today are either in the middle of doing
either a priced round at a seed stage or a SAFE or convertible notes, it'll be really important to understand whether those are included in your fully diluted pre-money as on an as converted basis. So the very most basic way of thinking of it is pre-money plus money invested equals post-money, but that's not really right if you have notes that are converting, in particular if there's a cap or a discount or an increase to your option pool, because those are going to eat into your 100% or into your post-money valuation, and somebody has to take the dilution. So if this isn't a topic you've looked at before, there is content on CooleyGo, or we're always happy to talk about it, because the one thing that we also note is that investors think about this stuff all the time and are very good at thinking how to translate pre and post, more so than a first-time founder or somebody that's only done it a couple of times. But here, in contrast to the pre-money, post-money valuation is just what is the fully diluted capitalization times the price per share paid in the financing. And that's going to say, and oftentimes investors think about, well, what percent of the company am I going to own post-money? So it's really important, again, just to understand and make sure, and I think that's the one thing I'd like to, as a takeaway here, is that as a founder, that when you get a term sheet, that you really, really focus not only on the number in terms of valuation, but how to build up to it, how to calculate it forwards and backwards to understand kind of really what the position you and your investors and your other constituencies are going to be after the closing. A couple of other topics that come up in term sheets are the size of the board. Oftentimes for early stage companies, a 3-person board or 2 or 3-person board is not atypical. It may be the founder, a representative of your lead investor, and maybe an independent. That can be oftentimes how we see these things play out. This is exactly founder representation versus the CEO. That's a key component as well, because for founders, that's something you would have personally, whether you're the CEO or whether you become COO or, a new person has come in with that title, which does sometimes happen just based on skill sets as a company goes through different stages and scales. So one thing that can sometimes surprise people is that their CEO seat is reserved for whoever sits in that spot as an officer and not for them personally. So something to think about as you look at how the term sheets are drafted. Again, your venture firm might want to have that seat for themselves or appoint somebody that's an outsider and truly independent. And it's important to pay attention if there's a specific way in which that third director is appointed. These are typically enforced or executed via voting agreements. So that may not be in your term sheet, but that's the way in which we ensure that the board of directors that is in your term sheet ends up being elected in your actual board. I think the overall takeaway from that former slide is that governance, in addition to ownership and the economics, are really probably the second biggest point to focus on when working in a term sheet. If I still have some time, I'll quickly run through liquidation preferences. Sometimes people are surprised at how the money will be paid out in the event of a sale of the company or other liquidation. The general character of the preferred stock is that the preferred gets paid before the common. So hopefully from a founder perspective, it's non-participating, meaning that the investors either get their money back or they convert to common stock. So I think the key point here would just be to understand and ensure that they're not going to be double dipping in terms of getting both their money back and an as converted. Or if they are, which may be totally appropriate in some circumstances, just that founders understand that.
I see the judges here on the screen. I'm not sure if that means my time is up. I can scroll to the end. Again, I'm with Cooley. My contact information is here, and I'm happy to address any questions on the things I talked about or anything else on Series Seed and Series A stage companies. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much. And yes, we are back in to say that the judges have deliberated, and we have a winner for the Midwest. I just want to make sure I cross check all of my lists and everything that I have so that we are about making sure that this is a great experience for everybody. So thank you, Lori, so much for your presentation. I can't wait to go back and hear it when I have a chance. So wonderful. And then I think that we have all of the founders coming back in. Wonderful. You're all back in. Thank you so much. Again, fantastic event. Thank you to the judges. We are going to go and talk about and go the audience choice, and then we'll go into the winner of the Midwest region. And then the judges have picked each founder and startup to give a little bit of feedback. This is about positive feedback to say, well done, and maybe work on this, or well done, and meet with us afterwards. So it all depends. So without further ado, the Audience Choice Award for the Midwest region is DASI Simulations. Well done. Yay, congratulations, Teri. And then the winner of the Midwest region of the Women's Fast Pitch is TheraB Medical. Well done, Alexa. Yay, well done.
Thank you so much.
You did such a great job. And with that, wanted to have, let's see, Kim Davis King, would you like to give the feedback on Alexa on TheraB Medical?
Yes. So Alexa, you did a great job on your presentation. You built a wonderful team to go after this opportunity. Thought the presentation was very clear in terms of the problem and the market sizing. I would just add talking a little bit more about your IP, your intellectual property, and the unit economics. But the team and the manufacturing, I think it tells such a great story of how you can bring this product to market. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And so next is the audience choice, DASI simulation. Kristen, would you like to say something?
Yes, DASI, you did a phenomenal job. Your story really resonated with a lot of us. Your story resonated with a lot of us, and just keep on keeping on. It was a really tough decision, but we think you're going to be quite successful. Thanks
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. And next is Arouge to talk about Untold content.
I could just tell right off the bat that you were an expert storyteller. Your presentation was absolutely fantastic. I really love that you guys are hustling and you're doing consulting work and you're really bootstrapping. And I think it is exactly that sort of mindset that's going to bring you as far as you're going to go. So congratulations. And you had a fantastic pitch.
Well done. Thank you so much. And then Cheryl's going to wrap us up, Cheryl, with Mycocycle and Cleancio.
Absolutely. Well, Joanne, wow. I mean, such a brilliant idea. I believe in the science. There's definitely a market. I mean, all of us, know I was actually for a time a board member for Greenpeace USA. So I'm familiar with kind of the collapse of the recycling industry, all of the struggle with the landfills. So, I definitely think that you've got a market there. It would have been, great. 90% of startups fail in their first year. And of those that succeed, 90% of those fail in your third year. So it was cool to hear, your 5-year vision. It would also be helpful to get a little more of a sense of, sort of one through 3, just to reassure investors. But cool product.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Rocio, wow. I very much look forward to hearing that Vrbo or Airbnb has gobbled you up. I think this is having rented a Vrbo, I can totally see the market. for this. I think, it's a slam dunk. I loved the traction slide that really won, my cold investor heart. What I would love to see is, at the beginning, a little more of your Genesis story. When you talked about the fact that you had been a host, you have family as hosts, and so you saw the need. I think that actually, gives some weight, in gravitas to your story and some more bona fides. The slides were a little opaque. If you hadn't been there, talking to them, I think it would be, and maybe these were custom designed for this, it'd be a little challenging to get, the context of your story, which is amazing. So I think if you add just a touch more context in each slide, assume that someone, doesn't know you and has no idea what the slide, what the flags mean or what have you. I think that you'll find that, money will pour in truckloads.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know it's tough. My team always says it's so tough to be a founder and get that feedback, but it's so important to get it. And we want to be supportive. And also for the YouTube audience out there to see what it feels like to have that feedback right away. We really are about meeting the founder where they are at the right time. So with that, we wanted just to have a couple of announcements. We want to call all accredited investors. We've set up special purpose vehicles for all of the women's fast pitch participants who are actively raising rounds based on investor interest. So click on the form link in the chat to learn more, or join the post-event Zoom with Lauren Rowley of Stella Angels and myself. So we can answer any questions from the investors to really talk about that special purpose vehicle for each of the finalists. So we would love for everybody, the audience, the founders, the investors in the room to promote Women's Venture Summit. It is an experience. We have interactive due diligence sessions, we have panels, we have all sorts of speakers. We have 50 plus speakers. We have workshops, ask me anything sessions. And you can meet the founders and funders from across the globe who care about gender lens investing, who care about impact, and really be able to see all of these wonderful founders of all of the regions. We have 6 regions across the nation, and all of those winners will be pitching at the Women's Venture Summit, and we'll have even more due diligence for you to actually look at, not just a pitch deck. So come join us again at Women's Venture Summit. And a special promotion, as I kind of alluded to at the very beginning, if you sign up for 3 women fast pitches, you receive a special promo code for discounted Women's Venture Summit tickets. So that's exciting to be able to get that promo code to be able to join us at the Women's Venture Summit. We are also looking for ticket sponsors. We have underrepresented founders who would love to attend the Women's Venture Summit based on a great collaboration and partnership with Lolita Taub, as she tweeted that out for us a couple weeks ago. So we are looking for ticket sponsors. Just go straight onto our Eventbrite and see if you can sponsor some founders' tickets. Do it right there in the ticket spot, and we would love that as a piece of this community build. So thank you for the founders. Thank you to the judges today. Thank you again for the sponsors, Cooley, Impact Seat, and Next Wave Impact Foundation, and Rocket Judge. Join us next week for Women's Fast Pitch Northwest at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye-bye.